Hello, everyone. I'm going to be talking about Hurricane Sandy and its impact on the United States. Hurricane Sandy, likewise known as Superstorm Sandy, was a tremendous storm that brought wind and flooding damage to places like Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, as well as the United States, mid-Atlantic, and northeastern states around late October in 2012. Sandy caused indescribable destruction, causing water levels to rise along the entire east coast of the U.S. This ranged from Florida to Maine and had the greatest storm surges taking place right here in New York. Hurricane Sandy generated over $60 billion in damage, claiming at least 125 lives in the United States and knocking out power to over 7 million consumers. Specific effects from the hurricane include air pollution and water pollution, power being knocked out to several sewage treatment plants, and the extreme flooding destroying homes, stores, and communities. These effects were all significant health concerns in the weeks following the storm. Apart from that, individuals damaged by Hurricane Sandy reported high levels of mental health issues. Thousands of people reported to have an increased risk of depression, anxiety, and PTSD in the years following the storm. In the United States alone, Hurricane Sandy affected 24 states, including the entire eastern coast from Florida to Maine and west across the Appalachian Mountains to Michigan and Wisconsin, with exceptionally heavy damage in New Jersey and New York. On October 30th, 2012, President Barack Obama declared a major disaster in both New York City and Long Island, releasing needed federal support for residents of the area. In all, 2,300 troops were deployed in New York City and Long Island to aid local emergency responders. In New York City alone, oops, in New York City alone, the storm resulted in the deaths of 44 city residents and inflicted an estimated $19 billion in damages. Most significantly, over 69,000 residential units were wrecked, and thousands of New Yorkers were temporarily displaced. While the full metropolitan area was damaged, Long Island took a terrible hit, leaving neighborhoods flooded, coastal areas and roads destroyed. Nearly 100,000 homes and businesses throughout Nassau and Suffolk County were wiped out by Sandy. For some people, Sandy turned their entire life upside down. With the homes lost, valuables, jobs, cars, and even lives, many households had to fully start over. The reason we should care about this catastrophe is the fact that it hit right here in New York. Most UAlbany students are from these places of high impact, such as New Jersey, New York City, Long Island. Being from Long Island myself, I remember Sandy vividly. My family, as well as all my friends, nearly lost everything. It was a hard time for everyone and a day that I definitely will never forget. Following Superstorm Sandy, many scientists voiced concern about climate change and expressed how warming oceans and greater atmospheric moisture are adding to the intensity of storms, while rising sea levels are making coastal effects worse. In response to these scientific concerns, Representative Henry Waxman, the top Democrat of the House of Energy and Commerce Committee, called for a hearing in the lame duck session on relationship between climate change and Hurricane Sandy. Waxman demonstrates how Hurricane Sandy is the type of extreme weather event that climate scientists have said will become more frequent and more severe if we cannot reduce our carbon pollution. Besides this, Congress passed the Sandy Recovery Improvement Act in January 2013, which consisted of legislative changes allowing FEMA and the state, tribal, local, and territorial governments its support and greater flexibility in administering help programs, as well as improving the nation's ability to respond to and recover from disasters. In the areas that were ordered for evacuation in New York and New Jersey, 70% of people didn't even evacuate. One reason was how badly communication was broke down. When Sandy hit, New York City was the last to call for departure, calling it only 8 hours before they shut down the subways. While the storm was coming, they waited as long as they could to be serious about it. Another reason many didn't evacuate was the fact that many individuals damaged by the storm were still unsure of the severity of it because of all the false information portrayed on social media. If they had brought better communication and information forward, I believe a lot of lives could have been saved. Other than that, more people would have been better prepared for their homes and their belongings. While there are no questions left unanswered about the hurricane itself, it's necessary that we acknowledge this tragedy and recognize the lives affected by it. In the 9 days that Sandy raged, it killed approximately 70 people in the Caribbean and 150 people in the US. When the winds died and the waters calmed, citizens were met with a level of destruction most had never before experienced. The storm effects were extensive, leaving over 4 million customers without power and over 340,000 homes and apartments severely damaged in New York and New Jersey. To this very day, many affected individuals are still recovering mentally, physically, and financially. It's important we remember the lives lost and take this hurricane as a lesson for future disasters. Thanks, everyone.